Hey y'all, so we are live. It is 8:30 in the East, and I'm going to give folks a chance to join in, and we'll get started. Hi everybody, hi everybody. Give folks a chance to jump in, and we'll get going. Hi, hi, hi. Hi there. Hello. The lighting is not perfect, but it'll do, right? So, let's get going. I don't know if you saw the piece this morning on CBS Mornings, but I did a story about a man who used to be a media executive in New York City and now rescues donkeys. If you missed it, you can go watch it later. But in the meantime, look at that. His name is Ron King. I don't know the donkey's name, but pretty adorable, right? Got another one for you. How sweet is that? So, this is not just staged for photos, like literally I learned from him that donkeys will give you a hug. They'll let you hold and hug, like with their head on your shoulder. They're more like dogs than they are anything in terms of, just being affectionate. That's Ron. He lives on a ranch in Northern California, just outside San Francisco, and I had the pleasure of going myself. That's actually Ron's donkey, Viejo. So, anyway, I want you to hear from Ron because the story is all about a man who lost his job, found his passion sitting in a pile of poop in Northern California, saw a video about donkeys needing rescue, and said, "Hey, I want to do it." I know it sounds ridiculous. It's like, what? But he did it, and he's still doing it, and these little donkeys are treated like kings and queens. So, without further ado, let's bring in. He's coming to us on the Instagram account for the Donkey Sanctuary, so you'll be able to see it and follow him and do all that. There he is.
Hello,
Hi, Ron. All right, so tell us who's behind you.
that is Hugo. Say hello, Hugo. And of course, waiting to say hi to you is Viejo. Viejo.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Mwah.
Oh, so Ron, this is the first time you and I have spoken beyond a text message since the story aired.
Yeah.
Where you said to me when we met, you were like, David, I know you want to make this about me because you think my story is, powerful and all that, but I really just promise me that this story will, honor the donkeys, quite frankly. It's
Yeah.
not about, it's about them. Were you happy with the story? Did you
I
feel like
was
you did that?
thrilled with the story. It was amazing. I've been completely overwhelmed. Um,
Mm.
oh, over, I think at last count, I had 1,800 responses. Um, so, ranging the spectrum from can I move in with you to I've been going through a really dark time, and I really feel inspired after seeing the segment, and then everything in the middle. So it's been amazing. It's been a very emotional day for me because, of course, um, one of the for people who know me, the comment that I'm getting the most is, "How did David get you to open up?" Because I'm not a very vulnerable is not a comfortable place for me. And so a lot of people that have known me for years have never seen me vulnerable the way that I was this morning. Um, but what I found is, when I'm not presenting a PowerPoint or delivering a corporate message, when I'm actually talking about something that matters to my heart, um, yeah, I get really choked up. I'm getting choked up now. So it's been an amazing day. So thank you.
So absolutely. So let's talk about the opening up. Why did you decide to open up? Because I said to you, I wasn't coming to just do a story on donkeys. I mean, quite frankly, full disclosure, everybody, I knew nothing about donkeys before this, and I didn't really care about donkeys. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, there's a lot of things to care about in this world, and donkeys just wasn't up on my list. But after I went and I spent some time there, I did. But the bottom line is, Ron, I cared about your story. So give everybody the nutshell of how you went from high to low.
Well, yes. So and you were very respectful in your telling of the story. Um, so because you left out some of the gory details, which I appreciate, but I'm also not ashamed of. And um, So my life has been a series of super highs and super lows. You know, it started out, the odds sort of stacked against me, and I had a rough adolescence. Um, and I ended up a drug addict and homeless in Los Angeles in 1994, 1995. But no power that's within me, by a power outside of me. Got sober on March 1st of 1996. So I just celebrated, ironically, my 26th sober anniversary, and I'm 52 years old. So mathematically, I've been sober half my life. So that's pretty cool. But as you referenced, I had a overdose, an unsuccessful overdose, and asked somebody that I knew for help, and she was the biggest hearted, kindest person ever, and she got me help, and I've never drank or done drugs since. And so then I started climbing up, and climbed my way out. I was waiting tables at the Hard Rock Cafe. I had flunked out of college. That waiting tables is all on you. And then I got a job selling bass fishing videos, and thought, paying $26,000 a year, and thought I had hit the jackpot. And had started to piece together a little life, and then I broke my neck in a swimming accident. So then I went back down, and then I recovered from that, and I started climbing back up again, and I was diagnosed with skin cancer. Went back down, climbed back up, and then, I fell in love. I adopted a child, and I became really successful in a career. And that was sort of what I thought was the catapult of it all. And it was amazing. I loved it. That lasted for about 12 years. And then, as we talked about today, that ended. And at first I didn't feel lost. At first I felt relief. Like, I'm a workaholic, and that was a really hard job. And they gave me a lot of money to leave. And so I was pretty happy. Or I should say I was pretty unplugged. I don't know that happy is the right word. And then COVID hit, and things started to get complicated. And then sort of the piece that you left out gracefully is, so then I also had some other health issues come up. I found myself with only a few friends. I had mismanaged a lot of my finances, and I was 49, and the loneliest I had ever been, and had to move out of my apartment and move in with a friend. So I was, staying with a friend, dealing with a pretty serious health issue, unemployed, with nothing to retire on, and no friends to talk to about it. And it was terrible. And I think it's so important to share that version of the story, because it's never like I presented a good life on Instagram, for instance. Like, my life was good, and then my life wasn't. And then my life was good again, and then my life wasn't. It never was what I was presenting. But I've done a lot of work for myself, and I worked on myself, and I worked really hard. But despite that, I found myself at the lowest position I'd ever been. And I was sitting in a car on Mulholland Drive, crying my eyes out because I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to drive my car off the cliff. And here I was, having had all of that success and having done all of that work on myself. And I think that's really important to share, because the journey doesn't stop when you do that work. And it doesn't protect you from the bottom falling out. And then, as it ties into what we talked about today, the reason it's so important is that's really recent. I'm not talking about when I was 25 and homeless. Like, that also was horrible. But I'm talking about when I was 49 and I had lost everything, and I didn't know how I was going to put this life back together. And I really thought I had aged out of my profession. I really thought it was all over. But when I surrendered, stopped trying to figure out how to fix it, and sort of listen to the universe. Like, I never would have thought I would have found more happiness than I've ever experienced in my whole life with donkeys. Like, this was not my plan. And so I think the idea that, like, don't give up, joy is around the corner, or joy is down the road. You may not have any clue what that looks like. But there is joy out there. And it's really important. And then I think we should talk about enjoyment versus joy, but let me shut up and let you talk for a moment.
Okay, so look, Ron's laid it all out on the table, and I think the beauty of laying it all out on the table is Ron and I are the type that we're an open book. But I think, Ron, you will agree with me in saying we may be an open book, but we're not an easy read.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, having said that, what I love about Ron's laying it out on the table is there's something for everybody to find in his story. And the reason why that matters to me is because those of you who follow me regularly know that there's something about just about every story I do where you probably won't be surprised to hear me say this. I'm looking for a relatability aspect in each story. What I loved about Ron's story was that in his pursuit to find himself after a very low point, after a series of low points, he found his passion in the least likely place and he found what mattered to him. But he asked himself, and you'll see this story in the CBS Mornings piece if you haven't, he said, I just want to know that what I'm doing matters. And he found it with donkeys, okay? And by the way, after I spent 2 days with them, I'm a donkey fan too, right? I mean, Ron, somebody, my favorite quote, somebody said he went from hanging out with uh, dumbasses
Yeah.
to smart asses, like some
Yeah.
cute thing like that.
There's no shortage of ass jokes.
Yeah, yeah, no shortage, no shortage of asses. But okay, one thing Ron said in the story, which Ron, a lot of people came to me afterwards and were like, "Ooh, David, that was a real moment for me." You said in the story, I learned that there is a difference between things that I enjoy and things that bring me joy. Tell everybody what you learned about that.
So, and um, this is, that is it for me. Um, and why I think why I'm so driven to talk about this as much as possible is because I was 51 years old when I learned that. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not joking. I'm not like, yeah, I knew. And I just really came to my senses. I didn't know there was a difference. Like, legitimately, I didn't know there was a difference. And so here I was out here trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And a friend of mine was like, what brings you joy? And I was like, I've got it. Like, I've got a great wardrobe and I travel the world and I drive a nice car, whatever, all those things um, I enjoyed, and I thought that brought me joy. And when I had those, I was super unhappy. So it was through this process of my friend asking me this question that I was like, oh shit, those are different things. So I can enjoy things, legitimately enjoy things that don't bring me joy. Um, and that was a real wake up call for me. And so here I had been working my whole life to surround myself with by things that I enjoy. Um, and that was a miss. And I'm really happy that at this age I figured it out and I can fix it. But if I can get to somebody in their 20s or in their 30s and help them figure that out earlier, then it's just the better for them. So when I really thought, what brings me joy? I thought back to my life, like when were the times that I experienced the most joy and what was going on in my life at those times? It was always when I was having an impact on something outside of me. So it was
Ooh,
never,
that's another God moment. That's another God moment. That's a headline. Repeat what you
yeah.
just said.
When I was throughout my life, when I have experienced the most joy, were times when I was having impact, um,
Mm.
and it had nothing to do with me. When I was trying to satiate my own desires or my own wants, that was fine, and I enjoyed that, but I was not fulfilled with joy. When I was fulfilled with joy, I took in uh, a lost 11-year-old, and that just wanted somebody to tell him the rules.
Mm.
And I took him in and I taught him the rules. And I took him from being a middle school dropout to graduating high school valedictorian. That was a time of pure joy for me because I was having impact on something outside of me. Or I had a partner who, said very openly to me, I'm not being who I want to be. Like, here you are, Ron, you know how to show up and be authentic and be honest and be direct. And I'm living a life that isn't that. And I want to be a better person. I want to be a better uncle and a better son and a better employee. And I want to own my own business. And so I really worked with him and helped him create all those things for himself. And that brought me a lot of joy. And so joy came from me. Joy comes to me from having impact. And that's what led to this entire operation.
And that's what led me to want to tell your story because, if it was the Animal Planet Network, we would do a story just on donkeys. But this is the intention, everyone. The intention behind doing Ron's story and asking Ron to be vulnerable and talking about things he didn't quite frankly want to talk about. The intention was, if you are willing to, it has the ability to do two things. And Ron, I want you to hear this loud and clear. It has the ability to make people see the best of themselves in the best of you, and it has the ability for your story to impact other people.
Thank you. I wouldn't do this otherwise. Like,
Yep.
I'm not trying to get 1,000 likes.
Yep.
But if somebody is struggling the way I was struggling 4 years ago, and hears this and thinks, like I said in the piece, that the light at the end of the tunnel isn't a freight train, then
Mm,
that's amazing. Like, to
mm.
give somebody hope that there's another side to what they're going through, that's a gift. So I'm really happy to do it. I do want to share with you that this idea of mattered. The most emails I've gotten today have been that I matter. Um, so this idea of joy and impact and enjoyment, those were all things that I had thought about before I met you. The idea of mattering had never come to me. So that was a real live sitting with David moment. So we sat down to start this interview, and it was one of the first questions you asked me. And I didn't know what questions you were going to ask me. I wasn't prepared with anything. It was a very freestyle conversation. And we sat down, and whatever question you asked me, I was answering on the moment, in the spot, in real time. And that is the first time that I have said out loud, I just wanted to matter. That is a brand new concept from 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. But I love the idea of speaking in bumper stickers, and I try to speak in as few words as possible to deliver a message. And saying that my entire life, what I was trying to do was matter, kind of summarizes how I felt for 50 years.
Oh, I tell you what, the result of this story and the impact that it had on the people who watched it was such a validation of just our team's intention and where my heart was going. And tell everybody exactly. So let's take off on some other topics. Tell everybody
Yeah.
exactly where you are in California.
So I'm in Mendocino County, which is 2 hours north of San Francisco, in the middle of wine country. Probably the most popular. Sorry, Goose is trying to eat my tripod. The most popular town near me is Hillsburg, which is about 45 minutes south. I'm in a valley surrounded by hills, and it's gorgeous. And yeah.
And it's called Oscar's Place. It's not a place that's open to people just driving by to walk around, but you
That's
do
right.
allow people to come under what conditions?
So that is the second most popular question today, was how can people come visit? And we're not open to the public for two reasons. One, these donkeys have had it really rough. So the auction system that we have taken them out of does not treat them like living beings. They treat them like a commodity, and they're super glued with stickers on them, and they're pushed and prodded and crammed into spaces way too small for them. And so when they come here, they need this is a sanctuary. And so it's not an Instagram moment. It's not a wedding venue. It's just not that. I said to you, I guess donkeys first. And so, if David and his team needed something, but I felt like a donkey needed something, I was like, yeah, I'll be right back. Like, donkeys first here. And so we've decided not to open to the public for that reason. But if you want to donate or volunteer or adopt, if you have an intention, we welcome you to come. And yeah,
Now, you don't adopt one donkey. You
that's right.
require that two always go at a time. Why?
Yes. Well, the easiest way for me to say this, it's very common for people to say, I need a donkey in the field with my sheep to keep them safe, or I need a horse companion. And I say, like, if somebody took me and put me in a field with a cow for the next 25 years, that cow and I will bond. I would much rather have a person around, but that cow and I will bond. So I will only send donkeys where there are other donkeys. And if there aren't other donkeys, then you have to take two. I want these donkeys to live with other donkeys. It's very easy to get confused. I knew nothing about animal rescue. I had never touched a donkey in my life. I had never had dirty fingernails. Like, this is all new for me. And the so I didn't know a lot about running a nonprofit, about animal rescue, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed and confused about my mission. So I got very clear on our mission. We have a team meeting in the barn every single morning before we feed, and I remind everybody of our Northern Star. And that is, so I'm not trying to stop the slaughter of donkeys for this Chinese herb. I wish that would happen, and I hope people work on that. But if I was doing that, I would be in DC. That's a legislative job. I'm not trying to rehome as many donkeys as possible, because if I did that, I would give a donkey to every single person that raised their hand. So we needed to get really clear on our mission. And our mission is, once you make it here, we've got you. That's our mission. So we will do everything in our power to keep lemongrass safe, healthy, and happy for the rest of her life. That's our mission. So that involves being really particular about where she goes. That's what we do.
Where can people, somebody's asking right now, what is the name of the organization? It's Oscar's Place. It's a sanctuary in Mendocino County, California. Where can they make a donation and adoption?
So the best place is on our website, which is oscarsplace.org. We are a 501c3, everything's tax deductible. And on our website, you could shop, although I think we're probably sold out of socks and coffee mugs. You can donate, you can volunteer, you can adopt, everything's there. Hugo, por favor. So you remember the guinea fowl?
Yeah. Tell everybody what we're hearing.
They just found their way into the barn. So we have a rattlesnake problem here. And I will tell you, I have the only donkey hanging out with me is Vito. I have really toughened up. So
hey
buddy.
Oh.
I have there's a lot of things I could do. Like, I could take these temperatures up these butts. I can deliver donkeys. I can tube a donkey. I can shovel poop. Like, I'm really impressed with what I can do. What I can't do is deal with rattlesnakes. I can't get over it. So we have a lot of rattlesnakes. And so we are raising guinea hens to eat our ticks and fight our rattlesnakes, but they are incredibly loud.
Somebody just asked a question, which I thought was interesting. Can people sponsor a donkey if they can't adopt a donkey?
They can. So we just launched a program called Oscar's Place Guardians, which is a monthly giving program, and there's different levels in there. So you could give a certain amount where I will hug a donkey every day for you. You can give a certain amount where I will feed a donkey every day for you. And it goes all the way up to sponsor donkey. What's interesting about having come from a business background and not an animal welfare program is that I assign a P&L to everything. And so
tell everybody P&L is
a profit and loss. So I got a lot of comments today about going into t-shirts, and it's a great idea. And of course we thought about it, and it would be great to do, but I've done a profit and loss statement on t-shirts, and there's really not much money to be made there. If I want to do quality t-shirts and I want to have inventory issues and shipping issues and sizing, and so because I'm committed to running a fiscally responsible organization that will be around 50 years after me, I do everything fiscally responsible. So what people would love to do is adopt a specific donkey and get updates on that donkey and get pictures of that donkey. That's just not feasible, because I have 4 guys and we have 95 donkeys. So I can't do that, but I can use your money to directly feed, hug, heal a donkey. And that's in our Guardian program, which is also on our site.
So tell everybody, if I'm remembering correctly, your job goes away in New York City. Yeah. You go to your friend's house, Phil, in California, and he has this ranch, and he had hoped to use it as an animal sanctuary, but it kind of sounded like an unrealistic pie in the sky thing.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting here, you went on social media and you saw a video of a woman at a donkey auction crying because she basically was like, somebody come help me save donkeys. And you just thought that's something I should do. And so you did.
That's right. Everybody, including you, thinks that this story sounds fabricated, and it really does. And I know that. So Phil, during COVID, I wasn't working. I've been friends with Phil for 25 years. Phil lacks admin skills. He might be on here. If he is, hi, Phil. He told me to tell you hi, and he told me to tell you how blown away he was by the segment today. He was like, it was an art of storytelling, the likes of which he hadn't seen. So that's the message from Phil. So Phil needed some admin help. I was like, look, I'm an admin king. Let me help you get some of your stuff together. And so he had bought this property. he had put somebody up here to do what I did, but that didn't happen. So there were no animals. None of the investment was into the animal. It was all in the house, which was a misalignment. So they had a falling out, and that person moved to Mexico. So the house was sitting here empty. So Phil asked me to come up and sell this house. So if it wasn't for COVID, I never would have come, because remember, at that time, I was still filling my life with things that I enjoyed. So I was like, but none of my friends are going out and eating sushi without me. No one's going to the movie theaters without me. Like, everyone's in quarantine. If I'm going to be in lockdown, there are worse places I could be. So I only came because of COVID. And I came out here by myself. Shadow.
That's so cool to hear.
What are you saying? Hi, Shadow Pops. Hi, Shadow Pops.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yo pienso que es bien para abierto la puerta. Sí. We had the door shut to keep them in here to be on camera, but I think they're getting restless, so I'm going to open the door and let them out.
Got it.
So yeah, so I came out here. I was literally living a life of luxury. I was making my cappuccinos every morning and walking around doing a little leisurely hike. And this is when, like, I felt serenity for the first time, and the snow globe stopped shaking, and I was like, that's really interesting. And I was thinking about, why am I in Hopland? Like, I was trying so hard. So I was up for 2 jobs that I really, really wanted in New York City that everyone would have bet money that I would have gotten, and I didn't get them. Why did I not get those jobs, and why am I in Hopland? And that's when I started the whole thought process of enjoyment versus joy. All this is sort of happening literally in the same 2 weeks. And I'm laying by the pool, scrolling TikTok. And I would be embarrassed to tell you what's normally in my For You page, but I'm scrolling TikTok. And then for whatever reason, a video of a woman, she was sitting down in a donkey pen crying. Like, I don't follow donkeys or animals on my TikTok. I have no idea why it was there. And she said, I'm saving donkeys. All these donkeys behind me are going to go to slaughter, and I'm here to save them. And it's completely overwhelming. They're so sweet, but I don't have enough room to take them in. Ghost, I'm talking. And I was struck by her authenticity. Like, she was genuinely tore up about it. And I was really moved by her emotion. We were chatting today about how this all started with her TikTok video. And so sitting in that same chair, I Googled, why are people slaughtering donkeys? And read an article in The Guardian. I was like, that's horrible. And then over the next 24 hours, I was like, here I am in Hopland, despite my best efforts. Here I am unemployed, despite my best efforts. Here I am thinking about joy and impact. I'm on this farm, I'm experiencing serenity, and I met a woman, and donkeys need help, and I'm on 75 acres with the barn. Like, it literally just all fit. Phil was coming up that weekend just to check on me, because everyone's nervous that I'm lonely out here, and I'm actually not. I prefer donkeys to people, but at the time there were no donkeys, and he came, and we were having breakfast at the Bluebird Cafe, and I said, Phil, I want to talk to you about something. And I didn't sort of walk him through all the context that I just walked you through, but I had a business plan. I slid it across the table. And I think he will tell you that he was literally in so much shock that he couldn't say no. And first of all, he said, have you talked to her? Like, does she even know who you are? And I said, no, but I will. Like, as long as there's a part of you that's interested in this, I will make it happen. And he said, well, see if she's even interested in working with you. And because it's who I am, I stood up from the table and I walked outside and I found her number and I called her. I said, hi, Talia. My name is Ron King. I'm standing outside of a restaurant in Hopland, and I think I have an opportunity for you. If I have a farm set up to take donkeys that you rescue, will you rescue donkeys and bring them to me? And she said, that would be a dream come true. And I said, I'll call you back. I sat down and I said, let's launch Oscar's Place. And we were launched 2 weeks later. That's literally how it happened.
Oh, it's amazing. Somebody just asked like, why do you speak Spanish? How do you learn Spanish or something? And I think this is really cool because I have a lot of people who follow me who speak Spanish, and I don't, and I wish I did. And if I was probably more disciplined and not as lazy, although granted, work is pretty demanding, I would learn to speak it. You didn't know how to speak Spanish, and you learned how to speak Spanish. Why?
Porque Hugo está aquí. So, Hugo, la pregunta es ¿por qué y cómo tú hablas español? Porque no es muy malo. Yo dije, es una pregunta para Hugo. So, I needed help. I can't do this by myself. Like, this is really hard labor. Um, and so I ran an ad on Craigslist. Hugo and a friend of his responded to an ad and came out. And I don't know how to get things done. We don't speak. So he has been working on Rosetta Stone and learning his English. I've been working hard to learn my Spanish. I mean, in the beginning, I could say like, caca, no. Yeah. Pero ahora yo soy muy inteligente porque necesito hablar mucho. Yeah, so I just learned it out of necessity. And you know, Hugo, I'll tell you, I've been so gifted in my life to work with incredible teams. And so many people that have worked with me over the years have reached out to me today because like they don't recognize this person. They love this person, but they don't recognize this person. And those teams have been great. The difference between them and this team is that like none of us had any idea what we were doing. We all want to make the world a better place for these animals. We are all completely different, speak different languages, different ages, different races, different points of view. And we have saved 127 donkeys that would be dead today if it wasn't for the work that we've done. So I have an incredible team. Hugo, mucho personas dice que hola.
Can I ask a very superficial question?
Yeah, of course.
Why do you shave your hair when you have rock star hair? In that piece we did today, they ran a picture of you from like your days at the magazine, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my Lord, I would pay good money to have that kind of hair."
Yeah.
And you shaved it. Why?
It's literally about ease. It's just so much easier. Like I can't get up and blow my curls out and set it with some dry shampoo and then come out and have a donkey nibble on it. So it's just being easy.
Tell everybody how they like to have their ears rubbed.
Yeah. Rub the ears. So this.
Look at that.
The inside of their ears is fleshy, warm, and they can't reach it because obviously they don't have fingers. And they love, but Dominique loves his butt scratch. So Hugo, so the babies, we had 6 babies born here last year. One died, unfortunately. She was born with a hole in her heart. Dominique was the 6th baby to be born here. And we go through a process called imprinting. And so we imprinted Dominique. And Hugo did it. And Hugo and Dominique are best friends. So I don't think one of the things we haven't talked about yet is people think donkeys and horses are very similar. And the brain, the guts, and the feet are very different. So the part of the brain that processes emotion, there's a name for it. I'm not smart enough to know what that is, but the part of the brain that processes emotion is the same size in a donkey as it is in a human. So these are very emotional creatures. They come when you call them. They want to hang out with you. Dominique is very bonded to Hugo. And when Hugo has the nerve to take time off, Dominique pouts. He's not playful. He stands off by himself. The minute Hugo comes back to work, they run around like best friends. So
Being Roman Joy just asked, why are donkeys being slaughtered?
So there is a Chinese herb called Yizhao, which has skyrocketed in popularity over the last couple of years. It's used in cosmetics and teas and different herbal remedies, and it requires donkey hide. Unfortunately, more importantly, it requires fresh donkey hide. And so millions of donkeys are being slaughtered a year, rounded up and slaughtered, and you get a good price for them. And so at this current rate, half the world's population of donkeys will be gone in 4 years. So it is very important to point out that this is not a Chinese issue. It's not an Asian issue, and I'm very sensitive to Asian hate. So we do the same thing in America so that our shampoo doesn't burn our eyes. We test beagles, and we choose beagles because they're the friendliest. Like animal cruelty and animal testing and animal slaughter is a horrible thing. It just so happens that the plight of the donkey is one of Chinese medicine, but animal cruelty is not a Chinese thing. And I want to point that out.
Somebody said, is there one donkey you absolutely will not adopt out? I know the answer.
Yeah, there's 9.
Oh, there's 9. Okay, I thought it was
9.
Okay.
I will not adopt out Viejo, but right. I have let everyone choose a few. And it was actually Phil who said, so funny story. We had adopted out So I'm kind of a focused guy, and I'm not, although I'm trying to be sensitive in the telling of the story and with you, I'm not overly sensitive in my daily life running around. So I was like, I'm not adopting out Viejo. I'm adopting out all these other donkeys. And um, Hugo came to me after I had adopted out Felix and WizKid, and in broken English, finally, it took me a minute to figure out what he was saying. Finally said, please don't adopt out Felix. And I had already done it. And so I called Phil and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I didn't even think that other people might be attached to donkeys. I thought I was the only one that would get attached. And I've already adopted it out. And he said, Ron, you have to follow your heart. And if Hugo wants to keep these donkeys, you have to tell these people, give them their money back and tell them to choose another donkey. And so I did. And then Gabe came to me and he's like, well, I want my donkey. And so, yeah, we have 9 that we want to adopt out. So.
I have to say, I just saw a good question pop up that I really like, and I want to ask you. If you could go back to the job you lost, would you?
No, absolutely not. No, no. And what you and I have talked about, it's not that that was a shallow, meaningless job. It was awesome. And, the impact I was having there was on the people who worked with me. And it feels really good to be good at something. And I loved all of the perks. So there's nothing wrong with it. But the joy that I feel, listen, I work harder now. I get up earlier. It's not like there's no alarm clock. There's an alarm clock. It just sounds like a donkey bray. And I work harder than I've ever worked in my life, both physically and administratively. This is not a walk in the park, but I'm clear that this is my life and this is it.
The sanctuary is called Oscar's Place. It is in Hopland, California. You can't just drive by and visit, but if you want to volunteer, if you want to adopt, there are circumstances and situations where you can be invited in. And don't you know, just as we're about to say goodbye, you probably got a call, didn't you? Somebody was trying to call.
I didn't, and I have Wi-Fi in the barn, but it did freeze, and I was like, well, thank goodness it did it at the very end.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I've so enjoyed this, and seeing the comments, I know people have really enjoyed this too.
Thanks. I can't see it, actually. My eyes aren't good enough that I'll read through it later.
Well, you look great. You sound great.
Thank you.
Thank Hugo for us.
Dice que gracias mucho.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Ron, we're rooting for you. I mean, it's there are a few every now and then people that I meet and I interview that I know I'll just stay in touch with. You can't stay in touch with everybody you meet and interview, but you and I will stay in touch. I like your spirit.
It's me and Oprah, right?
Yeah, right. Anybody who knows me knows how much I love Oprah. Look, I love your story. I love your personality. I love your spirit. I love what you're doing. And we all, in conclusion, love the fact that you are making an impact. Your story is making an impact. What you're doing today is making an impact. And at the end of the day, you matter. And you brought up Oprah, and I will say this. In her last show, in her last episode, in that pink dress, standing on the stage with no frills or spills, she looked into the audience and she said, all people want to know is, do you hear me? And does what I have to say matter? And Ron, I want you to know that people heard you this morning and they would write to me and say, he matters.
Thank you.
So
I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.